Hi everyone, my name is Christina and I'm an implementation consultant at ProSymmetry. In this video, we will talk about a common use case in which project priorities might shift, and as a result, the other projects that are in flight might need to shift as well to accommodate the new higher priority. The best way to accomplish this in Tempus is to use the what-if scenario planning tool to model out the shifting priorities to understand the best project sequence to accommodate the new higher priority work, and then adjust the project start and end dates of the other projects accordingly within your live Tempus data. Changing project priorities is common with both in-flight work and new pieces of work that might come into the portfolio that present new demand to contend with. So let's take a look at how this might play out for both scenarios. Let's assume I'm a portfolio manager and it's just been decided that a project called Laguna Phase 14 has now become high priority and needs to be wrapped up by the end of the year. I know this is going to cause some strain on my resources, and some other projects will need to be moved out to accommodate this. So I'm going to model this out to find the best project sequence to make this possible. The first thing I'm going to go do is in my project management tile, I am going to find that project, and I'm going to change the project priority attribute to high, where it was previously set to low, and click Save. I can see that this project currently has an end date of March 31st, 2027, but I'm going to need to compress it pretty significantly to make it end by the end of 2025. So to model that out, I'm going to go into the what if scenario planning tool and open up a portfolio model that I had previously created. First thing I'm going to do here is insert the project priority attribute as a column. And I'm going to click on the title here to sort these by high priority to low. And I do see that Laguna Phase 4 here is now listed as high priority. And the next thing I'm going to do is compress this Gantt bar to the end of 2025 to see what that does to my resource allocations down below. And I'm assuming it's going to create some strain here. So I'm going to compress this all the way down to the end of 2025. And I do see some significant strain. As I was compressing that Gantt bar, these allocation percentages were shifting and changing as this change was made. And these resources are rolled up by department, so that's how I've chosen to aggregate them, so I can see the strain on the group as a whole as this change was made. The next thing I need to do is make some decisions about how I can make this work, this new demand work, where I need to wrap up this project much quicker than anticipated without overburdening my resources. So because I have some increased strain here, I am going to hone in on some areas where there is a lot of strain to see what other projects might be contributing to it that I might be able to move out. So I'm going to hone in first on this area here by clicking into the cell and seeing which projects are contributing to this strain on my research and development team. To do this, to make this easier, what I'm going to do is instead of organizing these by project priority, I'm going to sort them by utilization percentage in descending order to see which projects are contributing the most to this overallocation. And I can see that Canary Phase 3 is taking up 19% of this utilization. And it's a low priority project. Cinnamon Phase 20 is also taking up about 10% of the utilization, and it's also a low priority project. So I might be able to shift those out. So to model that out, I'm going to find those. Actually, I could even filter on them here. Canary and cinnamon. And since they already are projects that are in flight, what I'm going to do is actually split the project and model out the scenario where, because I have this new competing priority now with Laguna Phase 14 being moved up, I might need to break these up and stop the project now and start it again later. So to do that, I'm going to click the ellipses next to Canary Phase 3 first, click Split. I'm going to give this a new name, maybe call it Canary Phase 4, and I'm going to split it maybe in June when this project really ramps up, Laguna Phase 14, and I'm going to split it here. And then now I've got this basically additional project where I'm going to resume Canary Phase 4, but I'm going to shift it out to start again back up in January of 2026. And I can see that that's already alleviated some strain on the research and development team in the later half of this year. I'm going to do the same thing for Cinnamon Phase 20 and split this so that I can start it again at a later point in time. I'm going to call this Cinnamon Phase 21. I'm going to split it at maybe May, the beginning of May, because this is coming up soon, to create an additional project that I'm then also going to shift out to start maybe the beginning of 2026. This is looking more acceptable to me now. If I wanted to pull into my filter here, Laguna, I can see the breakdown of where these projects are lining up now to create this new allocation percentage grid at the bottom. And at this point, I can now go into my Tempus environment, if this is acceptable to me, and manually adjust the start and end dates of each of these projects to reflect this new project sequence that has more acceptable levels of overallocation. Another kind of shifting priority within projects is when a new piece of work comes into the portfolio and you might need to shift other projects around to accommodate that new demand. So within my Tempus environment, I'm going to go into project management here, and I know that I have a new project that has come in called Barcelona Phase 13. It is set up as a proposal project. Because it's not officially part of my portfolio, I still need to do some modeling with it to understand the impact of bringing this new piece of work into my portfolio. And to do that, I'm going to use What-If. First thing I'm going to do, though, is set my priority attribute here to high, because I know that this needs to be accommodated. And I'm going to do that within What-If. So I'm going to go back over to What-If now, and I'm going to revert all of my steps here so that we can kind of get back to basics. And I'm going to pull in all of my projects. And I'm going to sort this by priority as well and refresh my screen now that that priority value has been assigned to this project. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do here is see what happens when I choose to include this project as being officially part of my portfolio and see how that affects my teams down below. So again, looks like I've created some strain on my research and development team down here. We saw those percentages jump up in the back half of the year. So now I need to make some decisions about what can shift out to make room for this new higher priority project. And same thing as we did when we were shifting in-flight projects around, I'm going to do the same thing here by honing in on the areas of overallocation that are presented here and kind of just get an idea of what projects are contributing to that. So I'm going to click into the impact assessment view within this cell here. I'm going to sort by the highest utilization, and I can see that Canary Phase 3 and Cinnamon Phase 20, both low priority projects, are still contributing the most to this overallocation, at least within June 2025. I'm assuming probably within this month as well. So I'm going to maybe shift these out and see how that might help alleviate some strain with this new demand that I've entered into my portfolio. So I'm going to take Canary Phase 3 and shift it out to start maybe in January of 2026 here. I'm going to just shift the entire Gantt bar by dragging and dropping it. I'm going to do the same thing with Cinnamon Phase 20, just to kind of show you that you don't necessarily need to split the projects, but you could just choose to shift the entire project as well. And that looks like it's alleviated most of the stress here. I've still got a little bit of strain here, and I may want to make some more decisions, maybe move Canary Phase three out a little bit further, or maybe even model out some headcount changes to my research and development team by you clicking the pencil icon here and seeing if I add, three more people maybe, what would that look like in those months for my research and development team? And it looks like it did bring down the allocation percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that change. Now this looks like a more acceptable level of overallocation with accommodating this new piece of work. And at this point, I can do the same thing with the other scenario we looked at, where I can choose to now go into Tempus and manually adjust my project start and end dates to reflect this new project sequence. Or I do have the option of exporting this model data from a pivot grid within Tempus and re-importing it into Tempus to reflect those new project start and end dates. And if you are interested in that, we do have a great video about that particular use case within the use case section of our Help Center. So with that, that wraps up this use case for shifting project priorities. If you need any more help or need additional information, definitely reach out to your implementation consultant or Tempus representative, or check out our Help Center and use case scenarios section for more videos just like this one. Thanks so much and have a great day.